pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Have a seat. Roll call.
Holt. Nikki.
Yes.
Sarah.
Yes.
Phillips.
Here.
Hensley.
Here.
Bradford.
Here.
Tatum.
Here.
Lemmings.
Here.
Bass.
Okay. Next, we have agenda items and approving the agenda. Do I hear a motion to dispense with the audible reading of the transfers?
Make a motion.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion to dispense with the audible reading of the transfers by Nikki Brown, a second by Russell Hensley. All those in favor, or is there any discussion? All those in favor of that change signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? We also have an additional ordinance that was included later. It was sponsored by Russell Hensley. Do I hear a motion we accept that ordinance to be entertained later?
Motion.
Okay, we have a motion by Virgil Lemmings and a second by Mary Phillips to entertain that ordinance. Any discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, with those two changes, do I hear a motion to approve the agenda?
So moved. Second.
Have a motion to approve the agenda with changes by Mary Phillips, a second by Nikki Brown. Any discussion? Roll call vote on agenda.
Nikki.
Yes.
Sarah.
Yes.
Phillips.
Yes.
Hensley.
Yes.
Bradford.
Yes.
Tatum.
Yes.
Lemmings.
Excellent. Do I hear a motion to approve the minutes and financial reports?
Make a motion to approve as written. Second.
Have a motion by Brian Tatum and a second by Russell Hensley to approve the minutes and financial reports. Any discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Any questions on the county road and equipment report or the county sheriff's report? Are there any elected officials or department heads who would like to address the court? Court, do you have any questions for any elected officials or department heads that are here? Excellent. We'll move on to new business. Our first ordinance is sponsored by move on to new business. Our first one is sponsored by Dale Holt, who is absent. Would someone care to volunteer to read that ordinance?
I'll read that ordinance.
Thank you.
Which one? Okay. Be it enacted by the Quorum Court of the County of Van Buren, State of Arkansas, an appropriation ordinance to be entitled, an appropriation ordinance to amend the original appropriation ordinance 2021-51, the annual operating budget for 2022, to increase the projected revenue and appropriate $3,000 into County General number 1000-804 for the Van Buren County Museum. Whereas the Van Buren County Museum has asked the court to appropriate monies to help with cost of running the museum, and whereas $3,000 is needed to help with the cost. Now therefore be it ordained by the Quorum Court of Van Buren County, Arkansas, that Section 1, $3,000 be appropriated into the Van Buren County Museum number 1000-804-3103 BBC Museum. I move that we accept this ordinance.
Second.
We have a motion by Mary Phillips and a second by I was wondering if I should do you or you or you. We have three of them going. Mr. Hensley. Discussion. Roll call vote.
Nikki.
Yes.
Sarah.
Yes.
Phillips.
Yes.
Hensley.
Yes.
Bradford.
Yes.
Tatum.
Yes.
Lemmings.
Yes.
O 2022-27.
You got your money?
Thank y'all.
You bet.
Now come see us. Come up there and see what we have.
That's awesome. Thank you all for what you do. Appreciate it. Our next ordinance is sponsored by Justice Phillips.
being enacted by the Quorum Court of the County of Van Buren, State of Arkansas, an appropriation ordinance to be entitled, an appropriation ordinance to amend the original appropriation ordinance 2021-51, the annual operating budget for 2022 to increase the projected revenue and appropriate $30,000 into Recorder's Cost Fund 3006-102 to be transferred into County General by the County Treasurer. Whereas additional revenue is expected for 2022 and will need to be transferred to County General. Now therefore be it ordained by the Quorum Court of Van Buren County, Arkansas, that Section 1, $30,000 be appropriated into the Recorder's Cost Fund 3006-102-9999, transfer out to be transferred to County General by court order. I move that we accept this ordinance.
Second.
We have a motion by Mary Phillips, a second by Brian Taylor to adopt this ordinance. Any discussion? Roll call vote.
Nikki,
Yes.
Sarah,
Yes.
Phillips,
Yes.
Hensley,
Yes.
Bradford,
Yes.
Tatum,
Yes.
Fleming.
Yes.
O 2022-28.
Thank you. Our next ordinance is sponsored by Nikki Brown.
Being enacted by the Quorum Court of Van Buren County, State of Arkansas, an emergency ordinance to be entitled, an emergency ordinance allowing the county judge to convey ownership of the animal shelter to the city of Clinton, Arkansas, to sign a cost agreement for the city-owned shelter, to declare an emergency and for other purposes. Whereas the animal shelter property is currently a 50-50 partnership between the city of Clinton and the county of Van Buren. And whereas the city of Clinton wishes to own the property for the purpose of running an animal shelter. And whereas there is a need to allow the county judge to convey ownership of the property and to enter into a cost agreement going forward. Now therefore be it ordained by the Quorum Court of Van Buren County, Arkansas, that Article 1, the county judge is authorized to sign documents for the purpose of conveying Van Buren County's ownership of the property which currently houses the animal shelter to the city of Clinton, Arkansas. Article 2, Van Buren County agrees to convey its ownership at the legal minimum price, which shall be no more than $10. Article 3, the property shall convey as is. Article 4, the county judge is allowed to enter into an agreement with the city of Clinton for the cost of harboring animals at the city-owned facility. Article 5, severability. If any provision of this ordinance or the application thereof to any person or circumstances held invalid, such invalidity shall not affect other provisions or applications of the ordinance, which can be given effect without the invalid provisions or application. And to this end, the provisions of the ordinance are declared to be severable. Article 6, emergency. This ordinance being necessary for the protection and preservation of public health and safety, as well as the continuity of county government. An emergency is hereby declared to exist, and this ordinance shall be enforced until shall take effect upon passage and publication. I make a motion we approve as read.
Second.
We have a motion by Nikki Brown, a second by Russell Hensley to adopt this ordinance. Discussion.
I just got a couple of questions,
Sure.
Judge, on this
You
is
bet.
where's the city, I know they had their meeting the other night, and I wasn't able to make it, where are they standing at on the shelter right now?
Well, they're looking at running it. They're looking at taking it over and operating it. They have been advised by their legal not to pursue it unless they receive ownership of the property. And I wholeheartely agree with that. It was a constant mess when it was co-owned with us in the county. I believe that we look at different functions of government, and we each have our individual lane that we ride in, right, or else we crash. And I think when the city and the county tried to ride in that same lane, they ended up crashing quite often. I do fully believe that amenities such as like a pool or an animal shelter, they belong at that level that's closest to the people, which is the municipal level, and it's their lane. And I think we should do anything we can to help them as far as conveying the ownership of this property. They're willing to do it when no one else is. And so I fully support the city of Clinton in this endeavor.
When do they expect to take it over and have it opened up and
July 1. Correct me if I say anything out of line.
What you're saying sounds good.
July 1, and they currently have 2 dogs and 1 cat.
Okay.
When did they through June?
June 30th.
So, bam.
I thought I heard the dog down there in there the other day. I figured it's still operating.
Yeah.
So Clinton's gonna fund this?
Clinton is going to fund this and operate it. We will have to pay our part. If we have,
Well, they say it's our part.
well, if we have to harbor an animal there, there's gonna be a charge associated with that, and rightfully so. They're the ones assuming the cost of it. We should pay for our way.
So if something's picked up out in the county and he brings it in there, what's the cost gonna be on it?
It's gonna be high.
Well,
Costs a lot to run an animal shelter.
Well-
We can flip this around, y'all can run it, and we can convey it to you.
Honestly, that's not been determined yet. They're looking right now at a $50 fee to bring them in at $10 a day.
So how long are they gonna keep them there? I mean, how long are they gonna keep them, harbor them, just to rescue?
I don't have the answers for all those questions.
Yeah.
We're still in the process of trying to get someone to be in charge of it.
Yeah.
It's gonna be costly.
It's tough
Y'all know it's costly.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, no, that's not arguable, yeah.
Will it be an adoption center too?
As far as I know, there'll be adoptable dogs. And I don't know about the cats. I don't know what we're gonna do with the cats, but it's when the animals come in, they're gonna have to be given shots and
Yeah.
all that stuff's expensive. It can cost a
Yeah,
couple
it
$100
is.
to get a dog or a cat
Mm-hmm.
up to spec on shots, and we can't just send them out, adopt them out, and without being spayed or neutered, because it just makes the problem worse. So that's one of the things that's gonna probably have to be done.
We wish you well.
Yeah.
Well, and there are other costs that we don't even think about, just by per animal, but that's the only way to break the cost down. Like it costs utilities, it costs
Yeah.
payroll, it costs upkeep and maintenance and insurance and all those things that the city's willing to incur, so.
Say the county brings a animal in,
Mhm.
that's because the sheriff's department has been called.
Correct. Correct. Now, I did hear the mayor say that they're not gonna take owner surrenders. So
Ah, good.
that's off the table. That encourages, improper ownership, is the lack of better words, I guess. So if our animal control officer has to go out and take care of a vicious animal and take it in, that's where it would go. We don't have just an incredible amount of those, but we do have them. In the past, when it was a joint venture, every animal call, we run out, we grab the animal, we bring them in. We're gonna have to use more discretion with that. We're gonna have to operate it more like it's been operated for the last 5 years. SNP has obviously shown us that they can run it better than we can. So.
So is Clinton gonna have an animal control officer? Are y'all developing a plan, how you gonna run this?
Well, right now, our police department is our animal control.
Okay.
Has been for, I guess, since the first of the year, because we didn't budget, we didn't pay, in the past, we had an agreement with the county. We paid $20,000 towards the salary of the animal control officer that was employed by the sheriff's department. And at the end of the year, last year, we did our budget, we took that out. We seen the handwriting on the wall with this. We knew that this was gonna be a situation in June, that it was gonna, people who are running it now are not gonna run it anymore. We were gonna have to try to do something with it. So we pulled that money back and put that into our police department, and they have been taking care of our animal control. As far as county animal control, most people in the county don't want animal control. When I was on the Quorum court, I would go around and talk to people like, we don't want that. So what you need it for is just like the judge was saying, you go to somebody's house on a domestic dispute and you gotta arrest everybody on the premises, and there's dogs or cats that have to be dealt with, so they have to go somewhere. That's one instance where you might have to use the service of the animal shelter. Another one is you got a vicious dog that's trying to bite somebody or whatnot. But in the city limits, dogs can roam up and down the county roads and nobody says much about it. But in the city limits, people don't like it when there's stray dogs going through their yards and, they got females in heat and dogs hanging around. So it's a problem for the city of Clinton, and we recognize that we need it more than the county does. So we're willing to try to take this problem on.
So we're gonna take our expenses, you got,
Your
Arrest
expenses are going to be on a
somebody, lock 'em up,
case-by-case basis.
go on.
A case-by-case basis. You're not going to have any expense unless you bring this
Unless you
amount.
bring,
Right.
and I appreciate that the city, I think it is more needed in the city, just.
Oh, yeah, it's a problem here.
And
It's a problem
we
here.
pay as we need it, and I think that's fair. I mean, that makes sense. We're not having to manage it, do all those things that I think before were huge issues, even beyond, financially.
We're gonna assume some expenses on that. You go and arrest somebody, they got 3 dogs there. Give an example, 1 dog, you bring them back in. Do you want these dogs? They're gonna
But I
always
don't,
say
but,
yes.
but I don't think we have a choice. I mean, we gotta do something. I mean, you see what I'm saying?
Most of the
Like,
time, if the dogs are at the house, we don't bring them in. If you arrest them on the road and they got a dog inside the vehicle with them, that's when we usually bring them in. That, or if there's a bad crash or whatever. I know some friends, actually, lady was blown out, had a dog in there, and there was actually a fire department that took the dog, took care of it until she got out of the hospital and got it back to her. That type of stuff is where it is. But I mean, most of the time, family's gonna come take care of them at houses and stuff like that.
Yeah, also, John, part of this can be assessed in restitution.
Exactly.
Well, we go that route, okay, we do that. 'Cause we had a problem with it before. No, I don't know, I have to say that family come and take care of those dogs though when Junior goes to jail. I mean.
That was my question, was can the cost be passed on to the owner?
We all
We have a
know
leash
that
law here in town.
we're not gonna recover all those
Well,
costs.
well,
There's gonna be a
pay
little
the
bit of
rest.
cost, but
We require a license.
that's right. But this is definitely the most cost-effective means for the county. This is hand in glove with the city of Clinton. I like this because we're doing it, in my opinion, the right way. They control it. We can either use them or not use them. In the same way that we control the jail. We assess a prisoner fee. They can either use it or not use it. And we're the same way. We're treating each other as equals, and I like that.
It's a problem. We got a problem in Damascus now, 2 dogs roaming around with the police. I don't know where to take them to. So,
Well, I'm thankful for the city for taking that on. I know it's been weighing on a lot of people's hearts, so
yes, I'm thankful too.
very thankful.
Likewise. And we need to be very supportive of that when they're done. Any further discussion? Roll call vote?
Nikki,
Yes.
Sarah,
Yes.
Phillips.
Yes.
Kinsley.
Yes.
Bradford.
yes.
Tatum.
Yes.
Lemmings.
Yes.
O 2022-29.
Okay. And when we pass these ordinances that have an emergency clause on them, of course, they're one and done. So I like to go back and do a little extra that we don't have to do, but I want to acknowledge that emergency clause and have it written into the minutes that we did acknowledge that clause. So do I hear a motion to acknowledge the emergency
So
clause?
moved.
Second.
We have a motion by Mary Phillips, a second by Nikki Brown to acknowledge the emergency clause on this ordinance. Any discussion? All in favor of that clause signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. Our next ordinance is sponsored by Sarah Brown.
Be it enacted by the Quorum Court of the County of Van Buren, State of Arkansas, an appropriation ordinance to be entitled, an appropriation ordinance to amend the original appropriation ordinance number 2021-51, the annual operating budget for 2022, to increase the projected revenue and appropriate $1,968.17 into the library ARP fund number 3047-600, and transfer and appropriate $1,438.74 and $1,656.72 from the library ARP fund number 3047-600 to the library budget 3008-600. Whereas $1,968.17 was received on 6/2 of '22 from Arkansas Humanities Council for the federal coronavirus relief grant and needs to be appropriated into the appropriate line item. And whereas a bill for $1,438.74 and $1,656.72 was turned in and coded incorrectly into the library budget number 3008-600, but should have been coded into the library ARP fund number 3047-600. Now therefore be it ordained by the Quorum Court of Van Buren County, Arkansas, that section 1, $1,968.17 be appropriated into the library ARP fund number 3047-600-3104 ARP sub-grant, and section 2, $1,438.74 be transferred from number 3000-600-3106 EFC COVID and appropriated into the library budget number 3008-600-3023 and $1,656.72 be transferred from number 3047-600-3106 EFC COVID and appropriated into the library budget number 3008-600-3003. I move that we approve as written.
Second.
We have a motion by Sarah Brown and a second by Mary Phillips to adopt this ordinance. Any discussion? Sure you don't want to read this 3 times? Roll call vote.
Vicky?
Yes.
Sarah?
Yes.
Phillips?
Yes.
Hensley?
Yes.
Bradford?
Yes.
Tatum?
Yes.
Lemmings?
Yes.
O 2022-30.
Thank you. Our next ordinance is sponsored by Virgil Lemmings.
Be it enacted by the Quorum Court of the County of Van Buren, State of Arkansas, emergency ordinance to be entitled, emergency ordinance to authorize the establishment of an electronic warrants transfer system for the purpose of direct deposit for county payroll and county accordance with 14-24-121. Whereas 14-24-121 allows the county clerk and the county treasurer to establish an electronic warrant system to transfer directly into the payee's account for their financial institution, in their financial institution, and whereas the Van Buren County clerk and the Van Buren County treasurer has been working towards direct deposit for the Van Buren County employees for some time, and whereas after discussion with the apprentice county auditors in other counties, we will begin working towards completion of this process, and whereas each employee will be required to fill out a direct deposit authorization form along with each person upon hiring and turn in to the county clerk, and whereas each employee will have a choice to have their payroll deposited into their bank account, checking our savings, or placed on a Visa card that would be at no cost to the county or to the employee. And whereas if the county clerk is to deposit into the bank account, the employee is required to present a valid, voided check along with the authorization form to the county clerk's office, to the county clerk. Therefore, after be it resolved by the Quorum Court of the County of Van Buren, Arkansas, that Section 1, the electronic payment method be established, shall provide for the appropriate internal accounting controls and documentation, as long as the method follows generally accepted accounting principles and leaves adequate audit trail. Section 2, the electronic warrant transfer system established under Section 1 shall be implemented using audit's best practices. A copy of the best practice direct deposit payroll procedures will be kept in the offices of the county clerk and the county treasurer. Section 3, the Quorum Court of Van Buren County hereby approves direct deposit for all the county employees. I move that we approve this as written. Second.
We have a motion by Virgil Lemmings and a second by Brian Tatum to adopt this ordinance. Any discussion?
Is this a computer program or is it actual separate system?
Misty?
No, right now it's gonna be just
off our computer. And I'm not sure exactly how. I've talked to the bank and they're supposed to get back with me. But the way I understand it is just, somehow that it transfers from my system to theirs right now. And as far as the Visa cards, the way we understand them, they're like a Walmart kind of Visa. And they can take it to Walmart and get the money at no cost to them. They don't charge them to take their money out if they want to do that. Some people just don't like, don't have checking.
This is not gonna cover JP's, is it? Says employees.
Yep.
You can choose to, you can choose to have it or not.
Okay, I was trying to read that in there.
Yeah.
I'll have to put it in my pocket.
You a Visa card.
Close to my car.
Direct deposits are great. Okay, one clerical note on this ordinance. I see at the top of it, it calls it an emergency ordinance. However, there is no emergency clause written into the ordinance. So at this time, I would entertain well, we have a motion and a second on the floor, so let's go ahead and approve this. Roll call vote.
Nikki,
Yes.
Sarah,
Yes.
Phillips.
Yes.
Hensley.
Yes.
Bradford,
Yes.
Tatum,
Yes.
Lemmings.
Yes.
O 2022-31.
Okay, now at this time, I would entertain a motion to suspend the rules for the purpose of entertaining the next two readings at this time.
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion by Mary Phillips and a second by Nikki Brown to suspend the rules for the purpose of entertaining the two readings by title only at this meeting. Any discussion? Roll call vote for suspension.
Nikki,
Yes.
Sarah,
Yes.
Phillips.
Yes.
Hensley,
Yes.
Bradford.
Yes.
Tatum,
Yes.
Lemmings.
Okay. Virgil, would you care to read this by title only a second time?
Be it enacted by the Quorum Court of the County of Van Buren, the State of Arkansas, emergency ordinance to be entitled, emergency ordinance to authorize the establishment of an electronic warrants transfer system for the purpose of direct deposit for county payroll in accordance with 14-24-121.
Thank you. Do I hear a motion to entertain that as the second reading?
Make a motion.
Second.
I have a motion by Nikki Brown, a second by Russell Phillips to entertain that as the second reading. Any discussion? All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, and thank you. And Virgil, third and final time.
Be it enacted by the Quorum Court of the County of Van Buren, the State of Arkansas, emergency ordinance to be entitled, emergency ordinance to authorize the establishment of an electronic warrants transfer system for the purpose of direct deposit of county payroll in accordance with 14-24-121.
Thank you. Do I hear a motion to entertain or to accept that as our third and final reading?
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion by Russell Hensley, a second by Nikki Brown to entertain that reading as our third and final. Any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. Our next ordinance is sponsored by Russell Hensley.
Being enacted by the Quorum Court of the County of Van Buren, State of Arkansas, an appropriation ordinance to be entitled, an appropriation ordinance to amend the original appropriation ordinance number 2021-51, the annual operating budget for 2022, to appropriate $233,501.06 into the General Reserve Fund number 1001. Whereas an ordinance was passed in May of 2022, Quorum Court ordinance number 0-2022-26, appropriating monies into County General number 1000-100-9,999, and whereas the monies will need to be appropriated into Reserve Fund number 1001 before it can be transferred into County General number 1000, and whereas the money needs to be appropriated into the courthouse budget and County General number 1000-108-4003, improvements other than buildings. Now therefore it be ordained by the Quorum Court of Van Buren County, Arkansas, that Section 1, $233,501.06 to be appropriated into the General Reserve Fund number 1001-103-9,999. Section 2, $233,501.06 to be transferred from Reserve Fund, number 1001-103-9999, and appropriated into the courthouse budget and county general, number 1000-108-4003, improvements other than buildings. I move we approve as written.
Second.
We have a motion by Russell Hensley, a second by Nikki Brown to adopt this ordinance. Any discussion? Roll call vote.
Nikki,
Yes.
Sarah,
Yes.
Phillips,
Yes.
Hensley,
Yes.
Bradford.
Yes.
Tatum,
Yes.
Lemmings.
Yes.
O 2022-32.
Nikki, would you care to read our resolution?
Okay. Be it resolved by the Quorum Court of the County of Van Buren, State of Arkansas, a resolution to be entitled, a resolution to remove a former employee from the bank account number XXXX000 at First Service Bank, whereas Rebecca Doubleday is no longer an employee with Van Buren County, she needs to be removed from the county checking account. Therefore, be it resolved by the Quorum Court of Van Buren County, Arkansas, that the Quorum Court of Van Buren County hereby confirms and approves the deletion of Rebecca Doubleday from the county treasurer's checking account at First Security Bank. Make a motion, we approve.
Second.
We have a motion by Nikki Brown, a second by Russell Hensley to approve this resolution. Any discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Do I hear a motion to approve the transfers?
R 2022-44.
Oh, sorry, I'm going a little fast.
2241?
44.
Now, do I hear a motion to approve the transfers?
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion by Mary Phillips and a second by Brian Tatum to approve the transfers. Any discussion? All those in favor of approving the transfers signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Brings us up to the close. Do we have any public comments? Okay. Having no public comments, do I hear, I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Any opposed? Thank you. Good meeting.